Hello everybody, today we take ourselves into that wacky world that is the solo lane to find out your top 5 solo laners that are absolute menaces, decimating their lanes. Gonna find out who is actually just kind of annoying and you don't want to play against versus who is actually winning their games, who is actually bringing that impact to the Smite battleground, guys. And number 1 is our highest rated god across all the entire league with over 1,000 elo, the first god to do it. Let me know who you think it is down in the comments below. Incon's top 5 solo lane edition. Number 5. Sliding into our top 5 warrior list at number 5, one of the more surprising picks, I would say. It's going to be Hercules. Hercules has been really enjoying this kind of new build that's been run over in solo now for just a little bit, where you get to go right into that Blackthorn hammer and you just get to abuse the raw HP stats from it, which pairs really well with your sustain in your kit, and particularly for teams that don't like to buy anti-heal, Hercules can become a big problem really quick. On top of that, he of course has some very good jungle and lane clear, a very easy to understand combo with that 2-1 on the wave, also being able to pull people out of position, bring them into towers, bring them away from the backline, particularly in a very damaging meta like we are in right now, where like hunters or mages can just start to one-shot people. Being able to pull them out of the backline, bring them out of position, starts to provide a lot of value for your team. And so that helps make up for maybe some of the surprise when you see Hercules at that number 5 spot with just about 270 bonus MMR. Number 4. Now I know this god won't surprise you to be number 4 on our list with plus 330 MMR. It is going to be Nike. Nike has been a long-standing annoying solo laner. Really all levels of gameplay have been able to utilize Nike properly, all the way from the tippity top of the SPL all the way down to the lowliest and scariest of casual queues. Nike has been doing very well all up and down the board. Really, she's always going to be strong as long as she has the amount of early clear that she does, with Rend being able to essentially full clear waves. It means that early on she gets so much pressure. She can go for early jungle stealing on the camps. She can go for really good early blue pressure on that first blue spawn, which just means that she tends to snowball and get a little bit out of control. On top of that, you've got fantastic movement with her 3. You've got an incredible ability that's so good that actually it's getting nerfed with her 2, going down from 6 seconds on the auto attack blocking to 4 seconds because it's so ridiculous. And finally, her ultimate, which gives you a dummy thick shield. Reminder, that does not combine with Pridvin, so don't be buying Pridvin on Nike. It's great in everybody else though. But Nike has always really been at the tippity top since she was introduced to her new kit, guys, and that solidifies her at a very nice number 4 spot in the solo lane. Now onwards to the top 3. Number 3. Just barely inking out into that top 3 spot above Nike is going to be Tyr. Tyr at a plus 340 MMR has really been a bit of a surprisingly good pick over in the solo lane. This actually comes a little bit back to what we said about Hercules. The ability to displace gods right now is really disproportionately strong to how it standardly is. And that's because there's so much damage coming out of particularly the hunters and ADC roles, but also the jungle with the assassins in certain cases, that being able to displace whoever ends up being the problem, usually it's 1-2 people on the enemy team that end up being a problem, and Tyr is one of the premier focusers down on those targets. You blink into the backline, you hit them with the Fearless, they get knocked up. If they beat too late, they're already in the knockup. It's too late, the CC is already going through, and if they try to get them away, you chase them down with your ultimate, and you've got a whole other set of abilities that are just ready to be used right on top of them. So Tyr, on top of that, he also has fantastic sustain in the lane. He's always had good lane clear by the fact that you've got 4 abilities right there at level 2, which brings tier into our 3rd slot.
Number 2.
Now, for one of my personal favorites, coming in at number 2, it is Chalk. Chalk, the perpetually underrated solo laner, coming in at plus 500 elo, guys. Chalk has always been and will basically always be a strong pick for the solo lane at all levels of gameplay. A huge benefit to playing Chalk is how good he is, even for people that aren't necessarily comfortable in the solo lane. So you have to remember that this is a all levels of gameplay league, which means we've got information coming from players all the way from Grandmasters all the way down from Bronze, and Chalk has the benefit of being viable at every single level of gameplay. You've got a Diamond player on your team, but they almost exclusively play over in the duo lane. What do they need to do now that they got solo because they were low on the pick list? Chalk is a fantastic pick. You've got a player that maybe is a little bit lower elo on your team compared to the rest of the squad, and he's in the solo lane. What should he do so he doesn't accidentally feed? Go ahead and pick that Chalk. He's got easy, clear, straightforward to understand with his 1-2 combo. It also doubles as a fantastic, great escape skill. He's got built-in CC immunity, damage mitigation. He has built-in sustain, and you don't even have to worry about getting all the blue buffs because he's got the built-in mana solution with his passive every 5 auto attacks being able to get off a free ability. This means that he has very high skill level gameplay for those that want to go for it, but also at a baseline you can hop in and just understand how it works so you don't have to focus too hard on it and you can just worry about trying to win your lane, guys. And that's why he's number 2, but he only has half of the elo of the number 1 god, who happens to be the number 1 god in the entirety of the STL.
Number 1.
Coming in at over 1,000 elo gained in the Smite Twitchy League, it's your number 1 solo laner, Mulan. This will come to no surprise to any of the nearly 250 players that have engaged in the STL in the month of November. Mulan has been a menace in these games. She is not only a very prominent pick, but she has found herself being a very prominent ban when you simply don't want to have to deal with it over in the solo lane. Mulan, ever since the buff that she received to leveling up her abilities faster, it just increased the level of good that she was by like 3 times. Her early game pressure is insane. Her damage output with the Warrior's Axe right now, with it giving physical power plus having that little bit of HP siphon on it, she can do so much damage starting right off the bat at level 1. She transitions fantastic into the late game as her abilities start to transition extremely early, I might add. I'm talking like sub 5 minutes. She can start getting these up to points where you're starting to get your additional hits on your 1 and your 2. She's got built-in CC immunity with the ultimate, and an underrated facet of Mulan's kit is her 3, which we're going to talk about here for a second. Mulan's 3 is not a great getaway skill, but is one of the better offensive abilities in the game in terms of movement. And in the laning phase on Mulan, it is crucial to utilize it in this fashion. It is an interrupt on channeled effects. So if you've got somebody like a Guan Yu in your lane and he's trying to tallow assault the lane, every single time he tries to use that, you hit them with your 3 and it's going to interrupt them right on out of it, taking away all of their clear, making her really good against a lot of different gods. Tyr goes for the Fearless. No, you're not. Nike goes for her Rend. No, you're not. She can stop all the lane clear, which means she wins the clear, which means she gets the totems, which means your team starts to get ahead early. And that's why Mulan has absolutely skyrocketed away from the competition as the number 1 solo laner. Those are the top 5 gods that are bringing the W's, guys, over to the solo lane, with Mulan, of course, claiming that top spot and also getting the honor of being the first god in our Smite Twitchy League to have plus 1 1,000 elo within her games. She's also got the capabilities of winning not just inside of the solo lane. She also gets wins elsewhere, so you'll start to see her pick up some wins in the jungle. Every once in a while she gets picked up as a support. So she's also got that versatility as well. Wanted to make a notable shout out to a couple of gods that didn't quite make it into the top 5, but have been doing well. And they're actually quite varied. Ardio, who didn't make it into this top 5 list, was the only guardian anywhere near the top 5. Ardio falls into this kind of more annoying than necessarily good situation, which, you know, I think kind of strikes a lot of people and makes them uncomfortable, and they're like, I don't know, man, have you played against Ardio? The answer is yes. Nobody likes playing against Ardio, but she does actually tend to lose more so than some of those other warriors that have really been pushing into the solo lane strong. And surprisingly, Cleodonia almost made the top 5 as well, which would have made her one of the only gods, in fact, the only god to make 2 different lists at the same time. Nobody has managed to do that yet as well, like making the top 5 jungle and top 5 solos or something. But she was quite close in her attempt to get there, guys. But thank you for watching the video. Hope you learned something here today. Make sure you check out the other top 5 videos for the other roles. If you haven't yet, the goal is to do these at the end of every month, so that way you know who to play moving into that next month, and then we'll keep it updated as we go along, guys, with these top 5s as well as some tier lists. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you for your likes and your comments. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. And as always, have a twitching day, y'all. Thank you for supporting the Twitchiest community. If you'd like to see more videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel and always hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Thank you for all your support and have a twitching day, y'all.